Hi everyone, welcome to my review of The Cat in the Hat from 2003, directed by Bo Welch, and yes, very quick review here of this film, and I think a lot of people probably have never seen this film. This is of course a request, once again, from the YouTuber Jared Griffiths. Check his channel out, great stuff, variety of videos. He's been going quite a long time actually as well, so loads of different videos there, and yes, been going back and forth here with what we kind of think as bad films to review, and Inspector Clouseau I reviewed, of course, and yes, Jared reviewed Van Helsing, Son of the Mask, and Police Academy 7, as kind of films that I thought were bad, and it'd be interesting to just see him review them. And back once again, back to me was this film, The Cat in the Hat. And I'd never seen this. I would never have watched this really unless it was a request. So yeah, it's interesting. Interesting to kind of talk about this one. It's the second, and still the second live-action kind of Dr. Seuss adaptation. There's no more of them. There was kind of a stop to that after this film, and of course, How the Grinch Stole Christmas was in 2000, I believe. Yeah. And that was the first, of course. I'm not a fan of that, and yeah, I'm not a fan of this. I don't like this film. And of course, yes, it is a panned film, obviously. It's got a 3.9 on IMDb. I don't usually talk about this, but yeah, it's just out of kind of interest. It's also got a 9% on Rotten Tomatoes. So yeah, a panned film, and it did lead to kind of stopping this live action kind of scenario of Dr. Seuss adaptations. So of course, not a popular film, and quite an obscure one actually. It's not really too seen, it seems. And as I say, I probably never would have watched this at least for many years out of my own kind of wanting to see it. I just thought, why would I want to see that? I don't like the How the Grinch Stole Christmas. I'm not a fan. That really gave me a bit of a headache as a kid actually. And yes, this one again, I don't like it. I don't think this is an awful film. Actually, it's not. I don't think certainly for me, a lot more films out there. Maybe made in this vein. Kind of family films, silly films like this. That are a lot worse than this. I feel. I don't think it's like one of the worst films ever made or anything like that. I think actually it's kind of just mediocre for me personally. Again, I don't like it. I don't feel really too much for the film, but yeah, it's not quite a bad film for me. Not kind of an awful film, an unwatchable film or anything like that. Just one that is under par, and I think maybe it's just I don't like to say this, but unnecessary. I don't really think just watching this film, it's kind of it seems like an afterthought. It doesn't seem like there's a real. I don't feel too much anyway passion, and stuff, and anything really special behind this. Yeah, it's a silly film. It's one that isn't meant to be taken seriously. Very short, of course, and yes, being an adaptation of Dr. Seuss, I'm not, again, I'm not actually a big fan of the books really, Dr. Seuss. I'm not. It's just never personally anything that's really I've really liked. I read a few of them actually in school, and it just kind of annoyed me. This film is less annoying than I thought it would be, but it is annoying in places. You have Mike Myers, of course. He is talented, but here, I think he maybe just gives what he can. It's not too great in my opinion. As the Cat in the Hat, or cats, whatever they refer to him as different things in the film. Dakota Fanning is in the film. You got the siblings of Sally and Conrad, I think it was. Yes, basically. Spencer Breslin, he plays Conrad, and Dakota Fanning plays Sally in the film. Two young siblings, and the mother is of course played by Kelly Preston, which is interesting to see actually. And I thought, she was okay in the film. Alec Baldwin is in the film, and quite a rare occasion where I didn't think he was great in the film. Really, it's just that was one of the characters that was really bad actually. Unfortunately, the writing in this film is. It's all over the place really. There is of course some general themes of kind of family, and kind of the whole kind of idea of this is for the cat to bring fun into the house, and to the siblings, and of course allow them to bond as well. And it kind of it does have some messages in there that kind of I think come through fairly well at times towards the end of the film. But again, the kind of the journey getting there is quite annoying at times. It's just, I think, very bland, this film, even though it is, very, very bright, and, the sets. I think the sets are to praise. Yes, just of course, the first and basically only directed film by Bo Welch. So that's kind of interesting. He's worked on, TV, and he's also been a production designer. Many, many films, including, Tim Burton works, the Batman films. He was working on there. And yes, that's interesting. The sets themselves, actually, I think they are to praise, although a little bit overdone at times. I think they are definitely to praise. They're impressive, very creative at times, just kind of not really utilised. The main kind of, the things that go on in this film is they trash the house, and basically go on this kind of very, very brief, you could say, journey with the cat in the hat, and then of course at the end things happen, especially involving a character called Larry, who is played by Alec Baldwin. But yes, basically it's very, very little happens in the film, really. It's something that, this is of course a very, very short film, but the story itself is not, it's not something that's really, really lengthy, or something you can really it's not a lot to kind of go by, I guess, when adapting this into a film. So yeah, not much really happens in the film. It does kind of bring the themes together decently, I feel. There's nothing that's really too botched there. I think there's definitely some warm feelings. I kind of, there was maybe a couple of moments in the film where I kind of laughed at, but other than that, the comedy just kind of, I don't think it's too kind of gross out or anything like that. I don't think it's too insane compared to so many films that I've seen. It just kind of falls flat. It's not really too funny at all. Mostly, throughout the film, there is some couple of, as I say, a couple of laughs here and there. But the character of Larry himself, especially early on, very, very bad character. Alec Baldwin, of course. I love Alec Baldwin as an actor, but in this film, I don't think the character, let's just say that the character was written well at all, and it just didn't work for me, really, until the end, where it's kind of a bare bones kind of feeling of satisfaction, you could say, with what happened there. But yeah, basically this film, it's just, I was watching this film, I think early on actually is the worst part, involving the mother, of course, played by Preston, but she was basically going to the scenes at her workplace, that was just really, really bad, I feel. The kind of stuff when the guy says you're fired constantly, and it's so annoying, and I thought, is the film going to be like this? But I don't feel it is the rest of the time. I think it kind of just, it's there, it's not anything too harmful, it's nothing that kind of is unwatchable or anything like that. I think it's just very, very mediocre kind of feeling. It's not a film that I enjoy. There's a couple of moments, a couple of aspects that I do like. I'm not going to deny that, but overall, as a film, I don't like it. If I was asked if it's a like or dislike, it is a dislike. But just not a film that I hate personally, and I don't think it's one of the worst films of all time or anything like that. But yeah, it's not. It's kind of just an unnecessary film in its feeling, and that's not to say that no one will get anything out of this. I think, but it's not a film that I would say recommend. I don't feel it's nothing that I would say to you as a viewer. Subscribe this. Check this one out. I think if you want to, that's fine. But I'm not saying this is a film you should watch. It's not one of them. I don't think it's really necessary. It's nothing too kind of interesting, really, and it is just kind of there as the final, of course, adaptation. Basically, just a very kind of bland film at times. One that I don't think was too harmful. It's one that just kind of, it's there and you watch it, and I found it a bit annoying at times, especially early on. I found it kind of just very, very generic, I feel, and bare bones, kind of this blandness to it, really, at times. But it's one that I enjoyed some moments. I think actually Dakota Fanning, probably the best part about this film. She is very good, actually. That's one of the things that it's to praise. The kids, the performances in this, are definitely solid. I think Dakota Fanning, especially, actually, is very good. This is her first film, that she was in. So yeah, I think actually she was better than anyone else in the film. Performances. Mike Myers, I guess, did what he could, but I don't think he was bad in the film. Really, not terrible or anything. Just nothing really to go with, other than just this kind of stereotypical kind of. Yes, this character is not one that is that special. I don't feel. So that's another thing. I think a lot of these characters are just kind of caricatures. They're very very one note, and yeah, just the film that's there. And I didn't hate the film, but I didn't like the film, and I think I'd have to give it 50%. I think some kind of good performances. I didn't really care for the soundtrack, too much really. Of course, there is actually a cover version, of Getting Better by the Beatles. That did annoy me actually. It's a shame. A great song, but the cover version there, and the way it was used was quite sad to see. I think I always get sad when that happens. But yeah, other than that, the soundtrack is just kind of it's forgettable. The overall soundtrack, and yes, I think this film is kind of it's not a horrendous film in my opinion. I understand, people really dislike this film, but I do think it's got some things to merit. I did kind of like it at times, a couple of moments here and there that I thought, it's okay, but overall as a piece, considering the flaws of the film and the fact that I didn't, I wasn't really compelled by the film for most of the runtime, and I think there is a lot of moments in the film that are quite annoying, but overall, it's a mediocre film. I guess it's very close to being weak, but it's not an awful film in my opinion. I don't think it's, looking at the scores, not that it really matters. I don't really consider this a film that's, would be a one that would have a 3.9, and stuff like that, and be really, really panned and, completely destroyed. But, that's just my opinion. I guess I'm just not, I guess that there's just some things that I responded to a little bit in the film. Some good performances. The sets at times are quite impressive. So yeah, it's a film that's there, and it's nothing too much to kind of talk about really. But yes, The Cat in the Hat reviewed, and yeah, as I say, not as bad as I thought it'd be. But it's not a good film. I don't like the film overall. I just like some elements from this. I think it's a kind of a harmless, under par, no doubt, family film that kind of it has some annoying moments, aspects, and it kind of, I guess at times it gave me a little bit of a headache with the kind of the overdone, the colours and stuff. But overall, it's just it's under par, it's mediocre. Nothing too much more to say about this film. Just very, very, very bland at times. Just kind of there, and it kind of just runs along. I didn't really react too much in the film. It was just kind of a one that I looked at, and kind of. I watched it, but I didn't really respond to the overall piece. I wasn't too compelled. But as I say, a couple of aspects here and there, and some moments that I liked a little bit. Kind of barely liked. But yeah, it's not too bad. This one, it's just kind of under par. And yes, I kind of feel just a bit unnecessary in the whole kind of way. It's kind of brought together here. But yeah, it's not too bad. And would I recommend it? Check it out if you want. You may like it. You may think, it's kind of a fun film. Of course, but I don't think it's too much. But then again, I don't really hate it. So there we go. There's my review of The Cat in the Hat. This final, for now anyway, live adaptation of this Dr. Seuss story. And yes, as always, thanks for watching my review.